Broadcasting to Stoke-on-Trent and the world.
6TR.
Welcome back to Man Cave Matters on Six Towns Radio, bringing you back in with Millington. That was Being from his EP of the same name. Now, Millington is the brainchild of Tom Millington, who was born and raised right here in Stoke-on-Trent, but now resides in Melbourne, Australia. He had a stammer from an early age and developed his language through rhythm, creating a unique relationship with music. He's a songsmith, multi-instrumentalist, poet, and all-round fun-loving, positive and insightful guy. He creates music that breathes life and energy. Each narrative focuses on taking the listener on a journey with stories of life, love, spirit, equality, global issues, natural beauty, and travelling through all kinds of physical and emotional weather, thus creating a musical landscape of sound and words. His debut EP was released in January 2017 and featured the single Being, which we've just heard, and the follow-up single Spark in the Dust. And I'm happy to say that joining me right now on the phone, all the way from Melbourne, Australia, is Tom Millington. Welcome to the show.
Hey up, how are we all doing?
Great to have you here. And it's been a while since we've actually chatted over Skype. Well, I say it's been a while. We actually spoke in the early hours of this morning.
Yes, mate, and you were very much involved with the lads. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, it was the time difference being, if anybody who doesn't know, the time difference is Tom is currently 9 hours ahead of us. So when he decided to drop me a call, it was about 3 a.m. Over here, which is absolutely fine, because there's nothing like listening to Tom's voice at 3 a.m. when you're a little bit drunk.
Oh, mate.
So
that's beautiful.
Millington is the brainchild of Tom Millington, who's joining us right now, and this has been, can I use the term, maybe a labour of love for yourself, because you've been doing it for many years now. If we go, let's go right the way back to the roots of, I'm going to call it the Millington Project. You were in Bad Sandwich.
Correct. Yeah, that was the band I was playing in when I was living in Brighton and kind of moving around the UK with those guys.
I think that was the last time we possibly spoke about music. So if you can take me from Bad Sandwich and Brighton to Melbourne, Australia, and Millington, what are the roots of Millington? Because I believe you went through many changes. It was like a solo project, then you got the band, and then you went back to acoustic, and now you're doing, I mean, I'll be honest with you, you were literally writing tunes, which I can't put into a genre. There are so many like roots within the music, especially within the EP. It's soulful, it's folky, it's poppy, and I can't put it into a box, which is absolutely fantastic. So where did it begin and how did it get to where it is now?
Awesome. Okay, Dave. Well, moved to Australia, followed my heart, and followed my my now wife, Beth, and decided to leave the English shores. And I got over to Australia, and yeah, it was. I just took a little bit of a hiatus just from music in general, and realised after 6 months that was starting to wear on me a little bit, and I needed to find my feet again with it. And so just decided I bought myself a really beautiful acoustic guitar. It's a Cole Clark Angel Edition, which I was assured was, it's everything about it was going to enable me to I suppose take my playing to another level, just with the essentially the craftsmanship of the instrument itself. Just like we are an instrument of the universe, the guitar is a it's grown on this planet, isn't it? And it's it starts as a tree, and you chop that down and crafted into that instrument of expression, just as I believe we are the vessels and the instruments for the universe to express itself. Anyway, off on a tangent there, but basically I realized quite quickly that I couldn't quite turn a head in the room. Not really, like I wasn't really. I kind of, my confidence kind of went a little bit downhill for a while. But as life, you've just got to. Life is literally about. Just take the boxing for example. It's about how you get hit, and how you get back up and how you keep going. So I'm using the boxing as an analogy because I know you were, very much into the boxing last night, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
And so I suppose that was where it began. So it was a choice. It was a choice I had to then make. I had to say to myself, well, I can either try something else, but upon questioning that to myself, my intuition just kind of said, there's no way. You just got to keep this as a practice, which is essentially what music is. So I stuck with it, and I started to challenge myself, and I bought new and exciting instruments, whether it be like the resonator ukulele I have at the moment, or my cigar box guitar, my Fender Stratocaster, and it was just about, I suppose, finding where I was supposed to sit within music. But I never really lost the love of writing, because that's kind of how I express, obviously, any writer or any artist, that's how they express themselves. So, and you're kind of like your own therapist. So that was never going to stop. But it was that moment. It was a choice between kicking on and actually saying, no, I've just got to find, because as you know, mate, Bad Sandwich were very, they were, I suppose, a force in a way, in a musical sense terms. And again, you couldn't quite, you could throw a few genres at it and it was just, an explosion of sound. So, so I made that choice, and then a few years later, I started to get the itch to record. So I decided to start recording, and I just began to put some layers down with a producer named Joe Hammond in Melbourne, in a place called Abbotsford, which is one of the north side suburbs. And it's his recording studio called Pots and Pans Records Studio, and yeah, we found a really good bond together, and it really kind of worked. And Joe seemed to be able to really, we worked it was almost effortless, and he got the best out of me, I got the best out of him, and so that kind of relationship kind of blossomed. And through the scene, it was, again, it's like, it's just navigating your way through it. So it's, go like everything from, I built up a repertoire, and and continued to write, and through good times and hardships, and I find myself at a point where I was able to, fund what I was trying to do for a living, essentially, through playing music, and through that whole self-discovery. And then when my little girl was born, and I don't know about you, mate, but like with your kids, but I was like right down there at the business end, and when it all happened, and you lose kind of all sense of reality, I suppose, in a way, and there's this massive wave of euphoria and love that just kind of like floods you, and it was again like one of the most pivotal kind of, for me, inspirational moments of my life, because then you kind of as most parents will, I'm sure, agree, it just kind of gives you that perspective, and and yeah, it's amazing, like they come along and you thought you knew what love was, and then all of a sudden they've just filled this huge reservoir void of love with love, and that you thought, wow, I thought I knew what that was. So yeah, massively profound. And through that, and so having those experiences, I started to really, having that experience, I really thrust myself into actually making a record as my first solo record.
Yeah.
And that was like a 3.5 year process for 6 tracks, because it's like you've got to earn in order to and it's these sessions weren't cheap, but I felt and I've always been taught if you scrimp on time, effort, and budget, you scrimp on any of those 3 things, and you can't fully realize something in this kind of modern world, I suppose. Yeah. Well, I'm not suggesting you can't attain anything, because civilizations and peoples all around the world have done that, regardless, without those things, but time, effort, everything evolves. You need to apply effort to everything with the best of intentions, but budget and money resonates, and it shows appreciation. So those things that were kind of key in my kind of ethos about kind of bringing it together, and basically what everyone's just listened to is me trying to the track being that is me trying to put that euphoria into a musical landscape, that euphoria that I experienced, because it's like I feel like the world needs optimism, it needs hope, it needs faith. Doesn't matter what you believe, everyone's different. That's okay. It's okay to feel, it's okay to feel rubbish. It's okay to feel down, but you've got to just, you've got to dust yourself back up, pick yourself up, start crawling, start walking, start running, keep going. And that was so that was, in essence, is where I'm at the moment.
Yeah.
With the journey.
Awesome. With regards to your lyrical content in the songs, where do you find your influence from? And that's actually a question that's been put to me from one of our listeners, and they would like to know where you get your influences from for your lyrical content in the songs.
So I can give you a couple of answers here. So one would be, obviously the lyrical content that I've grown up with. I've been inspired by various, everyone from, I suppose, like if we're going kind of sort of pop lyrical kind of melody wise, everyone from John Lennon to Stevie Wonder, and all the in betweens. Like, it's impossible for me to like just because there's so many, because I listen to everything. I listen, and I will literally listen to everything and everybody. And in all honesty, like, someone might say, "Oh, this guy's a hippie," but like, it's true. Like, I just sit and I channel the divine. Like, I literally sit there and I'm like, and just reach inside, like, because you're constantly reaching inside on you to better oneself, right? So you come in and you go kind of into your inner self almost, and you try and you're trying to, I suppose, be better, or at least, that's what self-growth is. And that's what the music does for me. I mean, it's, I would say, I listen to such hip-hop acts like Ugly Duckling and like The Roots, for example. Mm-hmm. So, and people, my peers, the people I love to listen to, like, Brighton and Bristol-based rapper Disraeli, like, I'm fortunate enough to sort of, know him sort of through my Brighton days. And he's still very much a hero of mine. And a lot of the spoken word and rhythm kind of goes all the way back. Because I wasn't necessarily, I had a quite pronounced stammer when I was quite young. Yeah. Sort of from about, 5, 6. So I didn't really have the confidence to put a lot of words together. And I think, as far as I can remember, from sort of speech therapy and music therapy, it was very much a case of thinking in rhythms in order to, get across what I wanted to say. So, there's that, that goes all the way back to since I can remember. And like, again, the content of the lyrics in essence is, like I said before, I'm sitting, I'm meditating, I'm channeling the divine, and I'm not, again, going back to my original comment about, the guitar being an instrument of this world. So it's grown here, it's a tree, it's cut down, carved into an instrument of expression. I believe that I am an instrument of expression for the universe. So it's literally allowing the music to be bigger than you, which it is. I don't care what kind of artist you are. You're not bigger than the music. That is just what it is, and because it comes from such a wonderful place. You've only got to, go into an elderly people's home with a group of elderlies with Alzheimer's and watch them listen to their old favorite records and watch them just come alive. It comes from a different place. It's like this. It's this medicine, and I feel really privileged to be able to connect with it and be and run with the music's journey, I suppose.
That's cool, man. That's cool. I mean, you're a very grounded guy, and that comes across, in the answers to these questions. Your feet are firmly on the ground. But what I do want to ask you is, how does it feel? Knowing that you have, with regards to the single being, you have a single on Spotify that has now hit over 500,000 plays, which I think, personally, I look at that and The Boy from Stoke's done good when I see something like that. How does that, the video as well, which is up on YouTube, it's on your official YouTube channel, is at 15,000 views. The song itself, over 500,000 plays on Spotify. That people are listening to that song, and how does that make you feel? Like,
mate, like I suppose, like I feel at a gig, if I know that someone's engaging with myself and the music, it's the end goal, really. Like, like, for example, okay, so the campaign was really successful. It kind of it blew my mind, the kind of response it all had, to be honest. So the song in itself, so even to this day, so this is like a year and a half after I released that particular song, before I released the EP, I still get messages from people all over the world literally telling me that it's given them something, it's moved them in some way. It's a really common, I think, a message that I get is them saying this is just such a beautiful, positive message and piece of art, and I listen to it every day just to kind of get myself into a positive mindset, which is like so humbling for myself to hear like these people kind of tell me these things. But there's one person who I won't name, but he messaged me about when was it? It's probably like sort of 4 or 5 months ago, and he'd had and I know the guy, and he had like some he had a lot of heroin addiction, kind of when I knew him, when I was kind of bouncing around kind of Brighton and Stowe. And I know he had some trouble. He lost his kids. It was pretty traumatic for him. But then he kicked it, and he, over time, he won his kids back into custody. Anyway, and I got this message, and he's I knew that backstory anyway. But he said, "Man, I'm not sure why I'm telling you this, but I've come off the wagon. This is how it's happened. Realized I needed to kick it quick in order to, not let it kind of get on top of me." And he said, "And mate, I was listening to Spotify, and I'm hanging out the window, and it's like 4 a.m, and it's snowing, and it's unusually light." I memorized this message, and he said, "And your music came on Spotify, and in those 3.5 minutes, that's the most peace I felt since I can remember." Wow. And mate, you can imagine something like that. I'm going, dude, have you any idea what this means? Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so glad that it's kind of it's helping you on your rejuvenation, and it's giving you something. So like, on that personal level, that's how I rate the success of my music. On a kind of more, I suppose, on a stage level of success, the video won People's Choice at the St Kilda Film Fest last year. Mm-hmm. It was, it won another, I think it was like an editing award. It went to the St Kilda Film Fest. That's the one of the big Melbourne film festivals and music festivals. And it went to South by Southwest as well, over in the States, over in Austin, where it was one of the nominees for Best Music Video for the year. So it's like, and the video is like a whole of the story, but yeah, so that's kind of, so as you can see, like there was a lot of good times there, and there's a lot of really positive and interesting feedback throughout the whole experience.
You have just come off your Tide Comes In tour. I believe you finished that up this weekend, the Easter weekend. How was that tour for you?
Are you there, mate?
Sorry, did you lose me then?
Oh, yeah, I think I just cut out then for a brief moment. Sorry about that.
No, it's cool.
You were saying, bro?
We've got you back. You've just finished up your Tide Comes In tour. How was the tour? How was the feedback from that? How were the gigs? Did you enjoy it?
Mate, it was great. It was, a lot of the places I have played before, and, there's quite a beautiful community and, like, musical network around Victoria, certainly. So there's quite a few interstate shows. I was fortunate enough to be supporting a few of my beautiful friends, one being a guy named Grim Faulkner, who is a good mate of mine, who's definitely worth checking out, as well as a wonderful songstress by the names of Karen Fields. Again, two people on the top of their game, close friends, and they invited me to come up and play some Melbourne shows with them, which was great. So there, and like obviously being in Australia, so you kind of have to travel if you're gonna make a crust. Certainly with the music, you've just got to put the miles in and go out and cold call and busk, and it's very kind of being a musician, it can be quite a bit of a guerrilla kind of exercise, which is really, I suppose, exciting because there's a sense of adventure about it. You're traveling all over the place. You're not quite sure what's going to happen. It's nice, man. It's very therapeutic. But being obviously a family man, it's it's only being able to spend a certain amount of time. You do like everything, you have to balance the equation. So it's I can't go away for weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. But that's fine. That's that suits where I'm at and what I'm doing, and I don't get lost in whatever the future holds. It's all about being in the moment and what I'm doing. But yes, the tour was great, mate. Great reaction. met heaps of new sort of artists and bands along the way, which is what it's about. Music is a community, art form. So it's important to sort of always keep that in mind and be open to new opportunities as they appear. Hey man, do you want to go here? Hey, we've got a gig here. Actually, that'd be cool to grab some support. Of course, you're going there. So it's kind of like it's nice sort of rocking with the wind a little bit. The tour was great, bro.
Cool, man, cool. And very quickly, before we wrap this up, speaking of the future, it's been just over a year since the Being EP was released. Now, I've been looking at your Instagram. You're back in the studio, recording new stuff. When can we expect new Millington music? Or is there no time on this yet?
Oh, mate, yeah, no, it's kind of like, it's like, I don't want to sound like, so-and-so about this, but my answer's usually the same. It's just when it's ready.
When it's ready.
So it's the creative process. I'm really enjoying it. I will give you some information about it. It's going to be my debut album. It's going to basically lead on in a slightly, without giving too much away, I hope there's a sort of a heavier direction, and with some of the tracks as well, kind of moving a little bit more electric with this album. And I'm going to be playing a lot of keys, so lots of whirlers, lots of organs, lots of sort of synth pads. So it's going to be, I'm just going to try and expand on what I've already been doing. And again, it's going to be a really interesting record, because me and my wife had a bit of my family had a bit of a hard slug a year or so ago when we lost our second child. So it's a lot of pouring out, and it's a lot of but still tapping into that divine. Where I'll just finish with this, Dave. It's the struggle. We're all in it together. Like we're all here together with the same. With various different ethoses about how to go about your daily life and your practices, but really we are all one, doing the same thing. We are all collectively trying to work through all of our stuff together. So I'm excited about that. It will be a very cathartic and very healing record.
Fantastic. Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Many thanks for coming on to the show.
Thank you so much, mate. It's been lovely.
No, pleasure's all mine, mate.
60R, the bright side of Staffordshire.
That was Tom Millington joining me all the way from Melbourne, Australia. We've been trying to get this interview together now for a couple of weeks, but because of the time difference, I think it's like he's like 9 hours ahead. We just kept on missing each other. Messages were being exchanged, and then he's tried phoning me, I've tried phoning him, and we literally kept on missing each other right up until this week, where he ended up phoning me at 3 o'clock in the morning UK time. I answered the phone, we had a good chat, and we set that interview up. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening to him. If you do want to listen to his music, it is available from all good digital retailers, including Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon. You can also go to millington.bandcamp.com to buy the EP direct from him. We're going to have a quick word from the sponsors, and right when we come back from that, we're going to play the second single from that EP, Spark in the Dust.